and welcome to the 2023 Pregame show for the North Carolina Republican Party Convention. I am your host, Bobby Crawford, again, doing coverage for now my 5. This is now the 6th convention that I've done coverage on YouTube, and the 9th convention I've attended overall. If you want to include 2020, it's the 10th, but I don't really count 2020. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of the lay of the land, a little bit the buzz, the late breaking buzz, and I'm gonna get to the goodie bag. But first, key race alert. Okay, in the vice chair race, we have a late breaking development. The vice chair candidate of Addul, there was a statement made from the Cabarrus County Republican Party Executive Committee regarding Mr. Addul on regarding the activities of May 19th, 2023. Communicated via email to Republicans across the state that under his leadership, the Cabarrus County GOP raised over $5,000 to support our local pregnancy resource center and raised $5,000 for Back the Blue NC. We do not want scandals or accusations to be true. We recognize that a united party is paramount for local and national elections. Even so, the reputation and donations that allow our party to function and prosper hinge on its representatives maintaining good moral standing and financial accountability. Since this information has come to light as leaders and Republicans, we imagine that you appreciate our duty and responsibility to address the matter to maintain our local party's integrity and reputation with our donors and community. These organizations are important to our fellow Republicans. Mr. Ali's apparent misrepresentation of support and contribution to their cause is a breach of trust the Cabarrus County Republican Party wants no portion of. We are obliged to keep accurate records of all monies received and make accurate reports. We know our faithful donors and fellow Republicans expect nothing less. Please be informed that upon review of the Cabarrus County Republican Party meeting minutes, social media posts, party communications, as well as the exempt plan and disclosure reports filed by the Cabarrus County Republican Party in 2021 and 2022, we find no record supporting the above claims in relation to donations made to the above referenced organizations from the Cabarrus County Republican Party. So again, just to sum up, Addul was chairman of Cabarrus County Republican Party from 2021 to 2023. And I will say, we have another key race alert. A third candidate is about to enter the vice chair race, and that is Mrs. Miriam Chu. Miriam Chu is a candidate that I wholeheartedly endorse for the office. And if you want to know more about Miriam Chu, I did a video back in the 2019 North Carolina State Convention cycle all about Miriam Chu and all the wonderful things that she brings to the Republican Party. Okay, another key race alert. John Kane has just announced this morning that he has been endorsed by 12 of the top business leaders in the state of North Carolina, and many of these same 12 are also wealthy donors to the state Republican Party. And these people are Bob Luddy, president and founder of Captive Air Systems, A. Dale Jenkins, former CEO of Curry, Larry E. Robbins, founding partner of Wyrick Robbins. Jim Anthony, founder and CEO of APG Capital. Stefan P. Zelnak, former chairman and CEO of Martin Marietta Materials. Ben Poole, former chairman and CEO of Waste Industries USA. Julian Bubba Raw, owner of Preston Development Company. Kirk Bradley, chairman, president, and CEO of Lee Moore Capital. Also, we have Alan E. Gant Jr., chairman of Glen Raven Incorporated, and Cliff Benson Jr., former owner of Carolina Builders, as well as C. David Johnson Jr. of the Johnson Automotive Group, and finally R. Doyle Parrish, CEO of Summit Hospitality Group Ltd. So there you have it. Oh, wait a minute. There was one more person I wanted to... Fern Schubert. I first heard Fern Schubert speak over a decade ago when I was down in Wilmington. I went to a political function. I think it was a district convention in Brunswick County. But I just really fell in love with Fern Schubert, her passion and her drive for the conservative movement. And just yesterday, an endorsement letter from Fern Schubert was made to John Kane. So here we go. This is from Fern Schubert. I've been a registered Republican ever since I was old enough to vote. I believe in the traditional Republican values of freedom, limited government, and supporting the Constitution and Bill of Rights. I believe our government exists primarily to protect the people of this country, not to provide a convenient way for crooks to make a living. I'm a pretty typical Republican, except I'm also a CPA trained to spot fraud, who has a lot of experience doing just that. I've even been recognized as an accounting expert by the North Carolina courts in connection with my work as an expert witness when former Senator Hugh Webster was the target of a political hit. He was framed for 2 felonies, but it did not take the jury long to find him not guilty. The jurors told Hugh and me they spent most of their time deliberating, trying to figure out what fool tried to frame Hugh. By the way, the district attorney in that case lost his job and his license to practice law. Because of my unusual resume, which includes 3 terms in the North Carolina House of Representatives and 1 in the Senate where I was elected whip as a freshman senator, I am able to tell you things you won't learn from the fake news. And unlike the many elected officials who are hesitant to speak up because the nail that stands out gets hammered, I'm happy to tell anyone interested about the fraud and corruption I've found. I was warning everyone about corrupt Speaker Jim Black long before the FBI showed up. I supported Jim Womack and warned about Robin Hayes and his allies long before the FBI showed up. I know for a fact that in the 2012 election in which Roy Cooper ran unopposed as Attorney General, strange things happened. I know some of them firsthand because on the day before filing ended, I signed up to run for state auditor. I had been asked to run early on and turned down the request. But then I stumbled across a CPA running in the Republican primary who I knew nothing about. Since he was the only candidate who appeared qualified to do an audit, I thought about supporting him, but I was shocked by what I found when I did some due diligence. Joseph Hank DeBraga was a longtime Democrat activist with direct links to Roy Cooper. Although he had recently been a staff accountant, not a top-level supervisor, with the State Board of Elections, an organization known for not hiring Republicans. He claimed to live on Water Street in Oriental. It did not take much digging to learn that he did not live on a boat at the coast. He actually lived in Harnett County with a lady who worked for Roy Cooper and is now on the staff of the NC Ethics Commission. I call them the Unethical Commission because of their ruling that telling a lie to get a bill heard that wasn't eligible under the rule is ethical because there was not a rule against telling a lie. It appears he claimed to live on a boat a long way from where he lived and worked in order to hide his prior voting record. I signed up to run so the Uniparty could not drop a last-minute mail and saying, "Vote for the only qualified candidate, the only CPA in the race." It would probably have worked to get Cooper's candidate elected as a Republican. Almost immediately, I was contacted by a friend who was an NCGOP officer calling at the request of someone higher than he was in the food chain who wanted me to drop out. My friend would not tell me who asked him to make the call, saying he had been asked to promise not to tell me who called him, but he said he'd been told that if I ran for state treasurer instead of state auditor, I would not even have an opponent in the primary. I was sure my friend was telling the truth about what he was told, but I also knew that two people were already running for state treasurer. I was also pretty sure I was the only candidate for state auditor other than Roy Cooper's candidate who had ever done an audit. The people behind the plan to get me to drop out of the state auditor's race never expected me to learn who was behind it, but they underestimated me. Then NCGOP Vice Chairman Wayne King was the person who called my friend, but he wasn't the only one in on the plan. My first steps after receiving the call were calling Robin Hayes, and the then NCGOP executive director. Both told me they had no desire to see me drop out of the state auditor's race, and the executive director even told me that for a party official to lie to me to get out of the primary was party disloyalty. But he and Robin were too busy to help me find out who the culprit was, even though they could have found out in less than 10 minutes. All they needed to do was call my friend, who thought he had received a legitimate request from the folks at the top. When I found out who called my friend, I made sure both Robin and the NCGOP executive director knew that Wayne King, Robin's NCGOP vice chair, who he had planned to make chair, was the culprit. I wrote a letter to them accusing Wayne King of party disloyalty, which is what the then executive director had called his action. I asked them both to share that information with the Central Committee and Executive Committee so they could decide what should be done. But I don't think that ever happened. At the NCGOP convention in Wilmington, I gave a copy of the letter to Dallas Woodhouse and asked him to remind Robin that I was not so patiently waiting for some action. 6 years later, I'm still waiting. Make no mistake, there are people you have trusted who do not deserve your trust. I'm not asking for your trust. I'm asking you how you can trust anyone who tries to tell you that, as one of our resolution states, North Carolina has a long history of conducting elections in a fair and transparent manner. That statement is as unbelievable as anything fake news can come up with, and it is used to blunt the force of the accurate accusations that North Carolina has a serious voter fraud problem that is not being adequately addressed by the NCGOP. I will vote for the resolution that includes that unbelievable inaccurate statement because ranked choice voting is bad news. I agree. But the idea that there have been any fair and transparent statewide elections since the 1898 Wilmington riots is absolutely absurd. One of the first actions the Democrats took after murdering a large number of blacks who were absolutely not rioting was to change the voting rules to disenfranchise most black voters. The Democrat Party has for over a century used fear and greed to improperly influence elections. Sadly, they have been able to persuade a number of Republicans to assist them. That is why so many people talk about the uniparty. In other words, Republicans and Democrats who can tell the difference, right? Fern Schubert, she's been a precinct judge and an official observer. Goes on to say, I believe the people have come in contact within my county, Union County, and are doing their best to run clean elections. But I know for a fact that is not true in every precinct in the state, and even in the precinct I worked, I cannot assure you the numbers reported by Raleigh were accurate because the black boxes are inherently untrustworthy. Supposedly, the NC voting machines weren't linked to the internet, but we know that was a lie. In fact, in 2021, the NC State Board of Elections admitted they removed analog modems from voting machines in several counties. This is according to a Carolina Journal article from December 15th, 2021. They only did that because the phone lines they used were a dead giveaway. Anyone with a smartphone knows there is no way for precinct workers to know whether the black boxes are being manipulated remotely. At one time, the vote machines had a paper tape showing the recorded vote. But apparently too many people, like me, made a fuss about the fact that how you voted on the screen was not necessarily what was recorded on the tape. On one occasion, it took several tries to get the machines to record the vote I cast because it kept substituting the name of his opponent. The precinct workers admitted that a number of their people had the same problem. That is unacceptable. The failure to address the corrupt history of vote machines is inexcusable. John Kane has actively worked to address the voter fraud problem. His opponent wants us to believe that because Trump won in 2020, there is no problem. Nonsense. The Democrats on the Council of State, who are most closely involved in elections, also won. If the Republican Party doesn't get serious about voter fraud, you can expect a lot more uniparty candidates to win in the future. I realize a lot of legislatures support Chairman Whatley. Of course, a lot of NCGOP, NCGOP establishment legislatures have voted to hire Eric. That's the sort of voting program, Eric, to help us. And anyone who follows conservative media knows that is an incredibly bad idea. It is hard to fix a problem when you can't admit it exists. John Kane has not sugarcoated the problems we face. Now, I have my differences, Mr. Kane. For example, I, from Schubert, oppose closed primaries. Me, Bobby Crawford, actually support closed primaries. But at least John Kane has not tried to convince me NC has a history of honest elections, and that there were no problems in 2020 and everything is under control heading into 2024. I plan to vote for John Kane for NCGOP chair, and I encourage anyone who cares about election integrity to do the same. That is from Fern Schubert, a definitely conservative, excellent conservative firebrand out of Marshfield, North Carolina, but east of Charlotte. They're in the Charlotte Metrolina region. Okay, now let's get to the goodie bag, shall we? Okay, first of all, before we do that though, let me talk to you a little about the walking up to the convention venue. Now, for the second year in a row, the NCGOP convention is at the Corey Center, the Corey Convention Center, which is right next to Four Seasons Mall. And the Corey Convention Center is actually like the first 3 floors of the Sheraton Hotel, which is like a huge 15-story skyscraper. It's like the tallest building in the immediate area. Of course, if you go to downtown Greensboro, which is about 5 miles north or so of that, you'll start to see the similar size skyscrapers as well. But going in there, so registration begins at 4 o'clock. Let's see. So I get into, first of all, one big observation I had was that this year, compared with last year, both sets of escalators are closed down. You only have one set of elevators. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, but they're all in one single area. And I'm hoping that the 2 sets of escalators will, they'll turn them on tomorrow. I'm hoping that it's just for maintenance. Now, unfortunately, it might also be for security because of the caliber of people who were having this weekend. Of course, we're having former President Trump, former Vice President Mike Pence, Governor Ron DeSantis. So we're having a lot of higher echelon people in town this weekend. So that closing the escalators might be because of security, but knock on the laptop. I hope it's not. Okay, so get up there we're on the 3rd floor. First, I saw Watley twice, believe it or not, at registration. One time, I was walking this huge hallway right by the little, what's called that food court area with the coffee shop. There's that little newspaper stand place. I was talking with some people there, about 4 or 5 of them in a little group. Okay. And then I saw him again after registration, greeted him, shook his hand. You know, I've shook his hand before. He's a real nice guy. He saw my name tag. Oh, Guilford County, you must have had a really hard trip. I was kind of joking around. It's like, oh yeah, I live like 5 minutes from the convention site. So, now going into registration, it's on the 3rd floor, by the way, if you haven't registered yet. I'm going to put this, it's about 5:45 now. I'm going to put this video out ASAP as soon as I'm done. So, but registration is from now until 7 p.m. tonight. And then you're going to register, you can register tomorrow from 8, and then it closes at 4 o'clock, which is a little weird because the business session starts at 2. So I'm not sure why they're leaving registration open until that time, because usually what happens is they cut registration off right like 1:30, like before the business session even starts. That way they have time to finalize credentials report and everything in case there's a holdup with credentials, which with over 1,700 delegates come this weekend, which I think is a record. I think we had a record 4 years ago. It's like 1,400, and yet 1,700 is a lot of people. So I'm just crossing my fingers that everything's going to be smooth. That's also, I don't know about closing them out escalators now. That's, you're going to have close to 2,000 people. You have to have all your access and egresses open. I was like, okay. And also registration is going to be open on Saturday from 8 to, again, 4 o'clock, even though you're going to have a business session, morning business session from 9 to 12:30, and an afternoon business session from like 2 to 7, something like that. So that's a little weird. They're keeping registration open even when the business session is going on. So going into registration, I saw a lot of people. This is my like I said before, 9th convention, 8th or 9th convention I've been to. Okay. The party started doing registration on Thursday afternoon back in 2014, and I'm glad they started doing it because, you get registered Thursday evening, you look at your goodie bag, look at all the things that are going to be debated in the business session, you can relax. If you go on Friday morning, you have to rush. You never know if there'll be an accident on I-40 or 85 holding you up. So it's always better to arrive on Thursday evening. Usually, when the registration begins at 4 o'clock, usually I'll get there and there will maybe be 3, 4, or 5 people in line. Well, I get to the registration area and it 4:15, and it was swamped. Okay. There was probably a good 20 people in line. Now, the good thing that they did, they made an adjustment because the line was originally people's last names A to D was 20 people long. Well, then they cut that down to A and B and then C and D. So then I only had to wait I was waiting in line for 10 minutes, then I only had to wait in line for another 5 after that. If I had to wait for 20 people to register, I'd probably still be in line 2 hours later. So fortunately, they were able to make that adjustment on the fly. And it's good to see so many people register early. It means people are engaged in the convention. They're fired up, enthusiasm. And hopefully we'll have some good, lively business sessions this weekend. Last year, the business session was just awful. There was hardly any business to do. And when there was opportunity to do more business, people didn't want to do it. So hopefully this year will be a little bit different. Okay. Let me see. So let me go through the schedule a little bit here. This evening at 6:30, there's a welcome reception with John Solomon, of investigative journalist and CEO of Just the News. Last year, they actually had a movie called Rigged about the 2020 election. What would have been nice is to kind of keep that movie vibe going, maybe have some sort of movie about politics or public policy or something, the American history even, But again, they're going to do a welcome reception. I've been to them a couple times, and unless you're really an outgoing person or a social butterfly, not my thing, So then tomorrow morning, of course, we're going to have the 8:30 the breakout sessions begin. Okay, and even before that, the District and County Officers Association is going to have their annual meeting and their breakfast at 8 o'clock. I was thinking about going, but it's $30, and the menu was eggs with green onions and jalapenos. I'm I'm not doing that. Why can't you just have regular scrambled eggs? Really? Okay, anyway, at 8:30 tomorrow morning, I'm going to attend the parliamentary training with Billy Miller. I think they started doing this last year. It's always good to go to this every year. Get a refresher course on Robert's Rules of Order. I think that's definitely a must attend. Or you can go to Tips for County Fundraising with the Leadership Institute, or you can go to Assistant Veterans with HBOT for Heroes, or there's Treasurer Training and Financial Compliance with Electra File. That sounds very exciting. Now, 9:30, there is the Get Out the Vote with the Leadership Institute, or you can go to Faith Engagement with the Faith and Freedom Coalition, or there's Nation Builder with the NCGOP's Carly Martinette. But remember, you may not want to go to a 9:30 breakout session. You may want to take a break after the 8:30 one so you can go to the NCGOP Central Committee meeting. Now, I haven't been to a Central Committee meeting in I'm overdue. I haven't been to one in 4 or 5 years. And that might be why there's a little bit of shenanigans going on with the Central Committee. So because I'm not there to make sure they're doing okay. They're doing their job. So yeah, 10 o'clock tomorrow. If you haven't been to a Central Committee meeting, you have to go to one, because this is where the sausage gets made. This is where a lot of decisions with logistics and the business session of the convention. There's a lot of things going on with their Central Committee. Or at 10 o'clock, you can go to the Republican National Hispanic Assembly with Congresswoman Virginia Foxx and Congresswoman Myra Flores. Okay, 10:30, precinct organized with Leadership Institute. Communication with the GoCo consultant, or again, treasurer training. 11:30, there's also breakout sessions, election integrity with the NCGOP and Republican National Lawyers Association. Or you can do voter contact with campaign sidekick, or ballots in, ballots out, winning the absentee early ballot war in 2024 with American Majority. And finally, you can also do the GOP Data Center with the NCGOP's Josh Bailey. So that's all the breakout sessions. They've definitely a lot more to pick from than years past. So keep that in mind. I've been to a lot of state convention breakout session before. This year's probably the best selection, and but sometimes, as somebody who's been to like 8 or 9 of these now, sometimes they start to run together, and you want to instead do one breakout session and the Central Committee meeting instead of doing like 4 breakout sessions and no Central Committee meeting. Okay, and then there's a break for lunch. And then at 2 o'clock, we're going to do the Credentials Committee. And then we're going to hear a report from and then things get very interesting very quickly, because then we hear a report from the Rules Committee. Now, in years past, the Rules Committee has been very open and shut. But this year, there's going to be a proposal to take the voting, okay, and go from electronic voting to paper ballots for the officer elections. So hopefully that'll pass. We'll have a little bit more election transparency. It's a little weird that Michael Whatley is running on election integrity, and he always talks about paper ballots and how we shouldn't have communication with the internet when it comes to counting the ballots, but yet he's running an election that is right as of right now has electronic voting that is internet access. So that's weird. Okay. And then, of course, what we've seen also under Chairman Whatley's, we have the a VIP reception at 5 o'clock, which, we'll see about that. Business probably going on still. The dinner with Governor DeSantis at 6:30. That, again, time is tentative. Doesn't say that in the program, but I will say that. 8:30 GOP chairman's reception, and also Friday and Saturday night after all the dinners and the chairman's reception, there's also hospitality suites galore. You get all your free food and beverage and everything. Okay, so Saturday we have a Judicial Victory Fund breakfast. That's a big $100 meal to go to if you're into that. But the business session begins at 9 o'clock. We have a report from the Platform Committee, and then a report from the Plan Organization Committee, where it is my hope, and a lot of other people's hope, that the Plan of Organization amendments from Granville County Vice Chair Michael Magnanti actually will get to the floor of the convention and be heard. Okay, of course, then we had the break for lunch. The official lunch is with VP Mike Pence, but that's, of course, a high-dollar event. 2 o'clock, business session with the state party officer elections, VIP reception at 5, 6:30 for the grand old party dinner featuring 45th President Donald J. Trump. And the good news about that is a friend of mine actually gave me a free ticket. Yes, a free ticket to go to the Trump dinner, so I'm definitely going to go to that. 9 o'clock Sunday morning. Again, high-dollar event, the NCGOP prayer breakfast featuring Ralph Reed, founder and chairman of Faith and Freedom Coalition. And then at 10:30 a.m., the executive committee meeting, which it is my hope that this will be the meeting debut of John Kane. We'll get to hopefully vote on some new staff members, and the censure of Tom Tillis will be conducted then. As long as John Kane wins. Okay, so now let me go to the last and not least, let me go to the goodie bag here. Alright, so what we got here. Here's an old worker from, used to be with the NCGOP, now Dallas Woodhouse. It's with American Majority. Good activism organization there. Okay, the Coalition for Liberty. Some things talks about as freedom of speech and expression are under attack in our society. Cancel culture is a cancer in our society. Some information there. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Expanding access to reach veterans statewide. This is HBOT. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy for North Carolina veterans suffering from their traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder. Passing this bill has demonstrated an astounding 95% effectiveness rate of HBOT among NC veterans. Ooh. Okay. Where's the beef? Well, here it is. Black Angus beef. $20 a ticket, or you can buy 5 tickets for $75. This is from the Alexander County Republican Party. It's about an hour and a half west of Greensboro. 2 chances to win 1/2 of grain or grass-fed beef butchered and wrapped. Says it's 300 pounds of beef. The drawing will be held on October 21st at 5 p.m. at the Alexander County headquarters in Taylorsville. Beef is donated by Kent Herman. How about that? This is James Upchurch, our state auditor, is a good guy. I don't know if, not an official endorsement, but I definitely like him as a person. He's been a good county commissioner. He's only like 25, 26 years old, too. It's definitely a rising star in the Republican Party. And, and as of like 2 years ago, he's a Democrat. So there you go. Comes to the party, and he's already getting involved and running campaigns. So it says that I learned the value of $1 when I was 8 years old. That's when my dad was diagnosed with Graves' disease. My mom and stepdad separated due to my stepdad's addiction to drugs and alcohol. We struggled financially for the rest of my childhood, living paycheck to paycheck. While things were difficult and we often went without, I learned hard work and the value of $1. As a county commissioner, I've worked hard to create a more transparent and fiscally responsible local government. That is what I'm going to continue to do as North Carolina's auditor. That'll start with a forensic audit of our school systems that attempt to indoctrinate our children through CRT and CEL, and shining light on the millions of dollars our local governments give every year to nonprofits run by politicians, their families, and their friends. Together, we can make North Carolina a shining example of good governance, fiscal responsibility, and transparency. I am ready to lead the charge, and I hope you will join me in this important fight. Good stuff. All right, what else we have here? WRS, equipping winning Republicans a service catalog. This is all like marketing stuff, digital advertising, targeting, direct mail, general consultant. Fred Vaughn Cannon for Congress. Somewhere in North Carolina. I do not know where he's running in North Carolina. Okay. Never heard of him, and I don't say that to be mean. I just never. First time I've seen a Fred Vaughn Cannon for Congress. Okay. I am a Republican because, and this, oh wow, this is a great pamphlet here. Okay, this has like the planks and platform, and it's got all the African Americans history of the Republican Party there. And oh god, oh look at this. This is great. It says every African American in Congress until 1935 was Republican. So it just tells you that some of that reason why a lot of black people flipped from Republican to Democrat after 1935. Well, in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Barry Goldwater, who was the Republican nominee at that time, was against the Civil Rights Act. And that's probably a big reason why he lost in 1964. That's unfortunately a big reason why a lot of black people went from Republican to Democrat, was because of that. I like Barry Goldwater, but I do not support his decision to be against the Civil Rights Act. I mean, that's just pretty bad. So, okay. All right, Darren Ustans, NC Secretary of State. Stand up for small business, stand against woke corporatism, stand up for secure elections, and stand up to Chinese influence. That name is familiar. He used to be chairman of Wake County Republican Party. Okay, so now we have a guy who I've talked about a lot, Addul Ali, running for vice chair. John Hardister, a guy who personally I'm not really a big fan with, and I'll tell you why. Because I've heard him speak a couple times, and to me he sounds very generic, not boring. He's boring, and he sounds like he dumbs down his speeches to like elementary school kids. It's like he thinks that, you know, he insults the intelligence of his audience. But another thing that I'm not a fan of John Hardister is last year when gas was here in North Carolina, it was over $4.50 a gallon. Most of the other parts of the country is like over $5 a gallon. But gas was way too high last year. It's still high now, but it's like $3.25 instead of $4.50. But anyway, John Hardister, they had interviewed him on WXII, the NBC affiliate here in Greensboro, and Winston-Salem, actually, but same market. Well, WXII interviewed him about they asked him, is there a way to give the citizens of North Carolina, give them like $100 rebate check or something like that, help them pay for gas? And what he said really just bothered me. And I'm never going to get over this, because to me he's a country club Republican. He's not a grassroots blue collar person like myself. He said, well, that money, you know, we could, but that money is used to build our roads, you know. You know, instead he should have said, oh yes, we need, you know, these gas prices are too darn high, we need to help people. But no, instead he gave a very, instead of a good conservative answer, he gave a liberal Democrat answer, like, we need to, instead of giving money back to the people, we need to keep it for government. Yeah, anyway. Ballot protection team. This was also last year's Goody Bag. This is pretty neat, little license plate thing. This is from American One Strategies, digital marketing you can depend on. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in this small bag. Alan Mashburn, definitely a person who I am considering for lieutenant governor. Republican Web Solutions and Frontier Political Group. Okay, this is a couple books from Jack T. Adams. Trump Got It Done, list of the accomplishments and achievements of Donald Trump, and then Trump Speaks, the heart of the president. Selected official speeches of President Trump. Trump-speaks.com. Chad Brown, I believe he was a former Orioles minor leaguer, run for Secretary of State. He's based out of Gaston County. Now he lives in Stanley, so I guess maybe still Gaston County, Stanley in North Carolina. Peter Boykin for North Carolina Lieutenant Governor, a guy who I was thinking about. Another person I'm considering, well, I was considered for Lieutenant Governor, and then he went on Facebook earlier today and endorsed Watsley for chair. So, yeah, I'm going to weight that a little bit against Mr. Boykin now. Okay. NC Values Coalition, they've been around a while. Talking about pro-life legislation. The Mama Bear Manual. Mama Bear workshops coming in August. This deals with parental bill of rights. Choose your school, choose your future, prevent harm to children. Talk about drag shows, fairness women's sports, surgical transgender minors. There we go. Christian Costelli, he was the Republican in my district. Unfortunately, was unsuccessful in 2022, but it looks like he's gearing up for another run. Former Green Beret. Okay, what else we got here? Ooh, look at that. Excuse me. Never Back Down. Ron DeSantis. Okay. Wow. This has got like this is a nice little brochure. It's like 6 pages front and back. Okay, cool. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, good. The proposed amendments to the Mr. Magnancia of Granville County, I was talking about earlier. This is good. Very good. Okay, so we have... Let's see what else I got in this book. Okay, I think got a few more items here than the big books. Okay. Oh boy. Patrick McHenry. after that whole debt ceiling thing with McCarthy, has the well, he's got some big balls, I'd say, because door hanger. Yeah. Okay, Rick Shafton, Neighborhood Research and Media, polling and media for conservatives with guts to win. It's a good friend of mine on Facebook there. He's formerly from New Jersey, now is down the Outer Banks, down I think at Rodanthe, somewhere around there, the southern part of the Outer Banks. Okay. Book signing. Forgotten Courage by Clarence Henderson. Book signing. Clarence Henderson, civil rights champion, a member of the Greensboro sit-in back in 1960. So at 1 to 2 p.m. at the North Carolina Faith and Freedom vendor table on the 3rd floor. Very cool. And I've actually sat next to Clarence the state convention a couple years ago, and he's also been to some local GOP meetings here, and because he lives down in High Point, also in Guilford County. Okay, this I've never been, and I need to go one of these years. But this is the North Carolina Salt and Light conference. This conference has gotten bigger and better every single year. It started back as a hospitality booth back in 2018 in Hickory. And then that same year they had a little conference, I believe, in a little small town in Surrey County somewhere. Like it was a one-day event. And now it's expanded to, last year, the year before, they had it down near Charlotte. It's now a 2-day event. But you have Mike Huckabee, Tulsi Gabbard, Mark Robinson, Janine Pyro, Leo Terrell, Dr. Robert Malone, Coach Matt Doherty, Ralph Reed, and John Manchukwa. I think that's how you pronounce it. So there you go. And on the back, you have Todd Starnes, Mark Robinson, and Nikita Koloff. Bold and Courageous Tour is going to be in Mount Airy Wesleyan Church at 6 p.m. on July 12th. You have to RSVP at ncfaithandfreedom.com/events. There we go. Okay, and our last brochure before we get to the big book is Sandy Smith. And I like this one. Get your money back. Cheap gas. There you go. Okay. Now, alright, let's look at this for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row. We have a red book. And in the red book, well, of course we have the rules. Alright, Rules Committee, Resolutions, Platform. Try to see if the platform is going to have. Oh, good! They're going to have the language that was taken out and where the readjustments are. So very good. Okay. All right. Let's see. Plan Organization Report. And the appeals. I was a little bit concerned because I heard one person tell me that they were going to do away with the Red Book this year and just have everything be online. Now they have a new phone app this year for the convention, but if you still want to do the booklet, you can certainly do that. So I'm very happy they have this. Okay. Now let's look at the convention book, and the cover is very plain looking. Okay, but then we do have the logo, of course. Let's see. It's Headblood. Loved Headblood. Can't stand Tom Tillis, though. Okay. Map. I think some of the stuff I might have I might have done last year, so I'll try not to repeat anything, but it says, from Michael Watley, chairman of the North Carolina GOP, it says, welcome to the North Carolina GOP State Convention. I am thrilled to welcome delegates, alternates, and guests to what promises to be the biggest and best convention ever as we seize this great opportunity to come together as a party to share our ideas and to set the stage for future victories. In addition to the great lineup of speakers from North Carolina, we have a very special lineup of all-star speakers. We're honored to welcome President Donald J. Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to North Carolina. Their presence speaks to the Old North State as a leader on the national stage. I know they will have a lot to say that will inspire us and motivate us to fight for the values that make North Carolina and this country fantastic. The heart of convention is the important business of the convention. I want to thank the stand-in committees for their hard work and their reports, which we will discuss and consider. NC Republicans have enjoyed great electoral success, and we have momentum going into this election cycle. We also have the best team of volunteers across the state working hard for victory. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for coming, and I look forward to an inspiring convention. Okay, of course, we have the schedule in here. Okay, got all our officers at the NCGOP. Okay, so we have Chairman Watley, Vice Chair, Susan Mills, Russ Ferguson, General Counsel, Steve Long, Assistant General Counsel, K.D. Kennedy, the Finance Chair, Will Connect, Assistant Finance Chair, Devon Barber, Assistant Treasurer. Doesn't look like we have a treasurer, right? Okay. Michelle Nix, Secretary. Talia Kevitt, Assistant Secretary. Ed Broyhill, National Committee Man. Keisha Brasington, National Committee Woman. 14 district chairs are all filled up. David Gleason is my district chair, by the way. Christopher Meadows is my chair, county chair for Guilford County. And I believe there's all the other counties I think they're filled. Okay. Of course, the usual federal delegation, courts, Council of State, General Assembly. Okay. John Kane, already talked about him a lot. Charles Dingy is also running for state auditor. To be fair, I will read the paragraph there for you. It says Charles Dingy, I believe is what it is. Small business owner and lifelong Republican who has been involved with the party in various roles. He started as a precinct chair in Wake County and was later elected as chairman of the Wake County Young Republicans, where he served 2 terms. Most recently, Charles served as the first vice chair of the Wake County Republican Party, and in 2022 received the Man of the Year award from the NC Federation of Young Republicans. Charles is committed to fiscal responsibility, transparency, and serving his community. Charles and his wife, Stephanie, live in Wake County and look forward to welcoming their first child, Molly, in June. Aww. Okay. This just lists all the receptions. Susan Mills, vice chair. Oh, this is my favorite person in the North Carolina House. Keith Kidwell, my boy. He says Republicans need to be bold and fight hard in the primaries for candidates who stand up for what we believe. And then after it's all over, we need to unite and to fight the woke, open borders Democrats who want to destroy the America we love. They need to be defeated on a federal level, a state level, the county level, and every level down to the school board. Never, ever let them win. Okay. Alright. Okay, Judicial Victory Fund. I've talked about that quite a bit. John Harnister. Yeah. Dr. Greg Murphy. Big disappointment. Griffin's Olson Company. We are grassroots. Nearly 7 years of collective experience. Quantitative, qualitative research, time-tested and proven advice to maximize the effectiveness of clients' personal outreach program. Human resources and legal personnel and staff compliant with all election and labor laws at the federal, state, and local levels, fully insured. Clients include the San Francisco Giants, Western States Petroleum Association, Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse in California, Repeal the Gas Tax, Party Homes, Pulte Homes, Chevron Oil Company, R.J. Reynolds, I think that's Tobacco Company, and the San Francisco 49ers. Fred Von Cannon again. Bourbon and barbecue Friday night in our hospitality suite. It says, featuring award-winning prime barbecue. Electifile, campaign finance filing made easy. Cloud-based software built for North Carolina treasurers. Richard Hudson for Congress. He's okay. He's not Dan Bishop, but he's not Patrick Henry. He's okay. He's, you know. American Majority, I already talked about them. Marketing strategies. Oh, are you sick and tired of all the losing? Oh boy. Ooh, Ron DeSantis. That's a good ad. Good ad. Re-elect Aaron Perry of North Carolina House 37. I think that's in Wake County. State Senator Dave Craven. That is Randolph and Southern Guilford County. Addul Lee, Christopher Caselli. Sportsman Banquet and Gun Raffle. Saturday, September 23rd in Johnston County. Spring Hill Outfitters of Eastern North Carolina. Watley for Chairman. Hellwig Communications. Luke Fairley, Republican Labor Commissioner candidate, conservative, proven fighter, political outsider, proud Christian husband, father, and patriot, running for Commissioner of Labor to protect workers and small business, and will fight to make North Carolina the most competitive place in the country for jobs and business. State Representative Jared Lowry, serving Robeson County, husband, father, conservative, Marine. Also the sponsor of a bill to raise the speed limit on rural freeways from 70 to 75. So that's definitely always good in my book. Okay, John Bell, North Carolina House Majority Leader. Michael Lazara for North Carolina Senate. Ben Moss for Labor Commissioner. There you go. See all their smiley faces. Jeff McNeely, 84th District Representative. A little area for notes. Interested run for NC. Okay, this is a race analysis engine campaign. Cardinal GPS, political consultant and fundraising Look, a little area for notes. A little area. And I think that's it. Alright. Well, I got one more thing, but first let me say this. That was a very insulting part for notes. They usually in years past get 2 or 3, maybe even 4 blank pages for notes. Also, again, we're continuing something that Watley started back in with the 2021 convention. That is, there is no agenda of. I'll show you on here on the schedule, right? Yeah. So, okay. Look at Friday. Schedule events, 2 o'clock, business session. You just have credentials, rules, resolutions. Okay, before Watley was chairman, back in 2019 and even before that, going all the way back to my first convention, 2011, for the business session, you also had who was speaking during these times. You know, when dearly departed was when we have a little presentation of all the people we've lost in the NCGOP over the last year. And you also, okay, the women's club's going to speak Friday, but the Young Republic's going to speak Saturday. Ted Budd's coming on Saturday, but on Friday we're here from Greg Murphy kind of thing. No. That's something that the Watley administration does not want to do, unfortunately. They don't want to. They did not want to continue the tradition of having a full schedule of what's going on, speaker-wise, at these business sessions. Finally, and believe me, I lodged a complaint about that when we did the convention survey too. Okay. And then we have this. Yeah, look at this. I can wear this on my neck, and I have to if I'm at the convention. But yeah, there you go. And there's a little barcode to download the convention app. And this also scans, I guess, for scanning people in. So there you go. Alright. Well, that'll do it. I'll have a lot more about the convention soon. Bye for now.